So, day one, champion hurdle day, Brother Dare, Apple's Jade, the Arena. Out of those three, surely?
I can't have the mares. I think it is between them three. I think they'll probably fill the first three positions, but I have to go with Bouville Dare. You know, in my opinion, he's the best hurdler, he's the slickest at them. He's won two already, so he's a great horse almost already. If he wins this, he will be a great horse, you know what I mean? Even with the weight concession, I can't have the mares.
Well, do you think they've gone the right route with Apple's Jade and the Arena? Personally, I think the Arena should have probably gone stayers or mares. Anti-post bet on the mares. Unfortunately, probably out the window now.
Well, there's infatuation with Sam Crow to go for the champion hurdle. Apparently, Gigginstown wanted to win the race. I can't have her though. I mean, to me, she looks better over further. She's only ever ran twice at 2 miles in the last few years. She got beaten at Newcastle by Irvine. Fair enough, she won well enough the last day, but Bouville Dare is a proper 2 miler. For me, she wants further. She doesn't jump as well as him. She came into season. She hasn't run all of her best races at Cheltenham, so I can't have her. I think she'll place, but I couldn't have her.
No, I'm the exact same. I mean, other than its last race when it won it impressively. I think it was 16 lengths over Super Sunday. It had not raced over 2 miles since November 2016. Yeah. Even then, it was 2 second-place finishes. No, I'm with you. I think both are there out of the three. However, I'm going to throw a spanner in the works. Is there anything outside of that top three that you could even give a squeak to?
I think Mellon could run a good race at a big price. Verdana Blue could run a good race, but I think we're scraping the barrel. I think the mares, obviously because they want to go further, in my opinion anyway, I think Apple's Jade will be on the front end. I can see Lorena getting a good trip in, but she looks like a staying chaser to me, so, you know, Bouville Dare, I can't really have anything each way. I don't see the point. It's Bouville Dare or nothing for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, and unfortunately, there's not going to be a massive field, so there's probably only going to be best part of 3 places. If I had to throw an each way shout into the mix, it'd be Sharjah. You look through the form, you kind of go, well, Willie Mullins, Rich Riccio, they know how to win the race. It's beat the likes of Super Sunday, Sam Crow, who you've touched upon. It's beaten Mellon before. It's beaten Bedrock, who beat Sam Crow. It's got really decent form. It's beaten Faheen as well. I think that's probably the one that's being overlooked. If you had to throw one into the mix there that wasn't in the top 3. So yeah, if I had to look for an each way punt, Sharjah, but I'm with you, Brother Dare in terms of winning.
Yeah, 11 to 4 looks a good price in all fairness.
Yeah,
defending back-to-back champion hurdle.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to get better price.
No, I don't think he gets probably the credit he deserves. He's a 2-time champion hurdle winner. That takes some doing, you know.
Agreed.
Away from the big race, anything on Tuesday worth backing?
Yeah, I'm really interested in Manella Rocco. We remember this horse placing a Gold Cup a couple of years ago. He's had his problems, but he's in a handicap. He's in the Ultima. I think he's around 9 to 1. He's a great chance if he bounces back to anything like his best. JP's been known to land a gamble. He's been backed in the build-up to this. John Joy is a typical Cheltenham horse for John Joy. He looks out of form, but there has been a lot of money for him. If he's anywhere near, he has to jump better than he has done in recent times for sure. But if he's anywhere near turning in, I think he'll outstay him up the hill. 11 stone 7, great chance, great each way shot, 9 to 1.
Yeah, loves Cheltenham as well, doesn't he? I mean, earlier on in the RSA, personally, I like the look of Gordon Elliott's hard line. Beat Get a Bird last time out, I think is decent enough form. If the rain comes, fantastic. Currently 6 to 1. You could have got a bit of bigger price earlier on in the week, unfortunately. But you know, case of Asra. Yeah, I think 6 to 1 for an each way punt to get a bit of profit hard line. If that rain comes, don't expect 6 to 1. Don't expect 6 to 1 to be about.
We've had rain all week, so anyone that wants soft ground horses, perfect timing. It's been chucking it down. It's expected to have more, so soft ground horses all the way.
So yeah, so Bubba there for the pair of us for the champion hurdle, and Manella Rocco each way for yourself. What race is that?
That's in the Ultima.
And I'll look off hardline earlier on in the day in the app. Brilliant. So day 2, Wednesday, Champion Chase Day. Altior, as far as I'm concerned, biggest certainty I've ever had in this festival in my lifetime. I'll probably put the mockers on it now, but surely it doesn't get beat.
There's no getting away from Altior, is there? He's untouchable over 2 miles. The problem would be, of course, is if he made a Rick, and a lot of people have been talking about this obsession he has with jumping out to his left. It's not going to be a problem at Cheltenham. I think the field's going to cut up as well. There's a lot of horses that could go to the Ryanair later in the week.
Yeah, footpads in there.
It's a one-horse race on paper. He's an outstanding champion, and you'd expect him to power up the hill and record another Cheltenham Festival success. I can't go against it.
No, I mean, it's a poor renewal as well. I mean, you take him out of the race. I mean, you look at previous races, you've had Eliza Sprint Sacra going up against Enderso, going up against Side of Grudy. You don't really have that sort of... Do you think it's just a case that Altior's that good, that it makes everything else look bad, or the field just isn't that good?
You have to say he's that good because he's beaten the likes of Underso, former winners of the race, winners over further, multiple Grade 1 winners. Comparing him to Sprinter Sacra was a little bit hard. Sprinter Sacra was, I would say, a more classy horse. I mean, I would desperate to have an each-way bet against him, but he's such an untouchable thing in the betting. He's such an untouchable horse at the trip. We're almost wanting to see whether he'll go further, if Ryanair or something like that. I think next year that is going to be a serious question posed to him because they're all scared of him. It's a one-horse race. If he gets round, he wins, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, I think there's probably some truth in that, in the fact that anything that's half decent over 2 miles are going to avoid him like the plague. They'll probably end up going for a 2 mile 4 race or something just to have a better sniff of a win. Bigger certainty in Cheltenham.
The way he's dismissed Undersaw, he's a serious horse. The way he beat that horse a couple of runs back with it was outstanding. He travelled all over him. The one thing with Alcho is he does hit a flat spot, but that hill is tailor-made for him. He's going to power up the hill, and you have to respect Undersaw. If he does turn up, he's going to get his ground, and he might be a double figure price on the day. If he turns up, he's got multiple entries, but he's 11. And do you want to be going to Cheltenham Festival with an 11-year-old? It's not for me. Alcho all day.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you know what? We'll probably again put the markers on it. But let's say it wins. Full steam ahead for a bigger race, into stepping up a trip. Do you think this will be the last time we see Altior over 2 miles?
Possibly. I mean, to me, he looks like a horse who could get further. He may be a 2.5 miler, Ryanair type of horse. I'm not convinced that he's a 3 miler. And you have that question: why would you want to spoil a good thing? He dominates these races at 2 mile. There's a chance he could be like a Zertupe, who was one stride at the King George. He never got the trip. He travelled really well all the way around. He could be one of them. But the signs he gives you when he's under pressure, he runs on. So you'd expect him to get further. I hope they go to the King George. It would be a sporting gesture, but there's no pressure. He's a great horse, and I appreciate him. So. I
mean, do you think? Obviously, Henderson's come out and said, it's the King George is going to be the main target next year. Do you think he'd ever be a Gold Cup horse, or is that too much? If he performs well in the King George, I suppose the temptation's there, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he'd have to be. If he won the King George, I would assume it would be all systems go for the Gold Cup. It takes a great horse to win from 2 mile to 3 mile to 3 mile, 2.5 furlongs. You're talking about Kauto Star in recent times, one of the great horses of all time. So assuming that he's that good because he's dominated at 2 miles would be wrong. There'd be a lot of pressure on him. I'd love him to go over 3 miles, but there's no pressure from my point of view. If they do, it's a sporting gesture. I'm not concerned either way. He's a great horse, and I appreciate him for it.
I think the thing is, as well, is just looking through his form book as well, he's never actually gone to Aintree. He's never gone to the Aintree Festival. I'd love if he was to come out of this unscathed and it'd be a bit of a walkover like we expect it to be. There's a 2 mile 4 race, I think the mile mate group 1 race, or you've got the bowl, that's the Entry Bowl. Possible, or do you think they just leave all that till next year?
I don't think there's any hope after the Cheltenham Festival. I think it'll be put away, and if they are on about going for the King George, they'll prep him for that. They want to know if he gets 3 miles, you know what I mean? They don't want to take a chance of a 2 miler. I'd like to see him in a prep race, intermediate trip, perhaps 2.5 miles if they could find one. It's a big ask going straight for the King George, like I've already said, but I think they're definitely going to try it, and whether it works or not, we'll find out.
So, Altior aside, who finishes second behind him? Those punters who want a forecast bet.
It's dog awful. Last year I went with God's Own, he was 6 to 1. I thought it was the most logical each way bet he placed was luckily enough. Duvan helped us along the way, to be fair. I think he's got another chance. He's around 40 to 1. He turns up in these races all the time. I mean, he's not going to win. He's not good enough to win. Do you know what I mean? He'd need a couple probably to underperform. But it looks like one of them races that's going to cut up. And I think at around 40s right now. He's an each way bet for him.
I mean, Footpad's in there, but I don't think they'll run. Min's in there. Nearest thing to a challenger. Altior's going to get. But I like the idea of Undersow running a place that, I think it's about 14 to 1. I think that's way overpriced. Yeah. Again, I don't think whether it does or doesn't run, it's that joys of multiple entries. But if I had to, Undersow to finish behind Altior is not out of this sort of harebrained scheme. So, away from the champion chase, second best bet or alternative bet of the day?
So I've been looking at the Coral Cup. It's been on my radar for a while now. And a horse called Uradel, right high on my list in the handicaps. He ran the last day. He was given no chance. I don't like to be critical of jockeys like that, but Ruby Walsh gave him no chance. He ran on really well. He was beaten around 4.5 lengths, something like that. Never had a race. He's been backed in the build up to this non-stop, but he looks unlikely to get in. If he did get in, I'd want to play with him. He's got very good flat form. He ran second in the Cesaro Rich last year. He's beaten some good horses over timber as well. I think he beat Lamini last season. So if he turns up for the Coral Cup, if he manages to get in, I would be all over him. Like I said, I don't think he will. And Willie Mullins and the same owners actually have Whiskey Sour. If Uradel didn't turn up, I'd be more inclined to have a go with Whiskey Sour. So either of the two, if they turn up, like I already said though, I think Uradel will end up in the Martin Park.
Yeah, personally, it's a race that a lot of people have a bit of controversy about in terms of whether or not it should even be at the festival. There's cross country, I think it's got a place. Yeah, we've got the likes of Balthazar King that's won it previously. Any Currency has been a staple of Cheltenham Festival, you know. Ender Bolger is the master with sort of cross country races. Everyone's going on about Tiger Roll. I get it, I understand it. Personally, I think surely the National's probably the bigger target for that horse this year. I think it's got a great chance of winning Tiger Roll, but I can't have it. So Ender Bolger has got a couple in the race. A horse that I really liked for the race last year is Auvergnat. It goes again this year with a bit less of a sort of disturbed sort of preparation this time around. Think about 5-6 to 1. I think it's a decent each way bet to nothing. It's got Josie's Orders in there as well. Ender Bolger, that's got to be sort of respected. But Auvergnat for me, but I'm going to throw two in the race. There's a horse running that's won over the course that's 66 to 1. Solstice Star. I'm telling you now, anything can happen. I think there's going to be a really big field this year, so they probably play four places. 66 to 1. Solstice Star. Auvergnat at 6s if you want something more fancied. But yeah, those are the ones for me. So day 3, Stayers Hurdle, Paisley Park. I mean, the Racers Cup, the horrendous. They obviously don't have the Willie Mullins favourite anti-post favourite Penhill in there anymore. Faheen's in there, but shadow of his former self. I hate to say it, but is there anything that can beat the favourite?
Not for me. I've been with Paisley Park all season. Absolutely destroyed them the last day in the Cleve Hurdle. It was a really impressive performance that day because he was under pressure actually. A little bit like English Drever. He reminds me of English Drever, that he hits flat spots and runs on powerfully. He's an improving horse. I think the only reason he isn't odds on is because he's trained by a lesser trainer. If he was trained by Paul Nicholls, Nicky Evans, he'd be odds on. You know, I cannot see against him. I think 15 to 8. I think 15 to 8 is a great price. You have to look at the facets of the race that stand up for him. So you're going to have Faheen going from the front. You're going to have Sam Spinner somewhere near the front. If them two get involved in the pace war, I can't see anything else but the favourite storming past them up the hill. So it's Paisley Park all day for me. I don't even see an each way bet in this race. I think it's a dreadful renewal. I can't even see Faheen completing. It's an awful thing to say that, but I think he will have such a duel with Sam Spinner. I can see him being pulled up. I don't think they're going to give the horse a hard time. And 9 to 2. I mean, if he wins, I have egg all over my face. You know, I'd love him to win. He's a great horse. He has been a great horse.
There won't be a dry eye in the house if that wins, but yeah.
But he can't win. Surely he can't win this race. Paisley Park all day for me. I think he's an outstanding bet.
I mean, fell last time out as well for Heen. It's, you know, it's the twilight of his career. I can't see it, regardless of win, lose or draw. I can't see it running after this race. I
mean, if he wins, we'll look stupid. You know what I mean? But he was beaten when he fell last time. That's the problem I have. Applesjade had his number. And like I say, he's such a one-dimensional type in terms of he wants to lead. That's how he gets on. You know, he won in Ireland last year at the back end, and I think people overrated that victory. You know, he was allowed a 5 or 6 length start. You don't give horses like Faheen a 5 or 6 length starts. Suicidal, and he basically won by about that distance. So that was a piece of schooling, glorified schooling, really. A lot of them have had their hard race at Cheltenham. He hadn't, and we heard about him jumping out of his skin in his work at home this time last season. A lot of us fell for it and played with him. You know, once bitten, won't be second for me.
Yeah, it's one of those. Well, I always see the Stayers Hurdle as a race that I guess is ultra competitive. There's never, other than big bucks, I suppose, there's never been like some sort of standout superstar. Maybe a bit unfair to the likes of Annie Power and more of that.
More of that, wouldn't it?
You know, but there tends to be reasonable sort of like 4 or 5 that are all. But this year, I'm with you, Paisley Park. There's nothing that's going to beat. I'll be honest with you, I was dead set on it losing. But as everything started to drop out and that horse got better and better, Aidan Coleman, Emma Lavelle, yeah, Paisley Park.
So I have seen a lot of people talking up top notch. He met Paisley Park on his seasonal reappearance. He was only beaten 5 lengths, but I just think Paisley Park, he doesn't win. The winning distances could be exaggerated. I think he'd have beaten him much more comfortably when they met. He absolutely dotted up last time, like I said, and he reminds me so much like English Drever. The bottom of that hill, I see him powering up it. I don't see anything getting close to it.
So, Paisley Park for the pair of us when it comes to the Stayers Hurdle. Ryanair, as far as I'm concerned, it looks the most competitive Grade 1 of the whole 4 days. The case, as far as I'm concerned, the case can be made to 4 or 5, if not more of them. Is it that good, or is there something that should be taken head and shoulders?
There's potential to be that good. You could have horses dropping out the Gold Cup going in. You could have horses from the Queen Mother going in, or the 2-miler. But for me, this is set up for one horse. Road to Respect. I mean, he's left in the Gold Cup, which is really disappointing. Monolly's going to set a good target to aim at. He's still left in the Gold Cup.
Yeah, apparently all systems go Connolly Gold Cup.
I couldn't have. But anyway, I think everything's set up for Road to Respect. Is Road to Respect?
Yeah, it is Road to Respect.
But Road to Respect for me, his last 2 runs have been over 3 miles an hour, and he was beaten a short head by Bellshill. He was beaten by Ken Boy just before that. It's some serious form at 3 mile. For me, he just doesn't get home over 3 mile, or he does get home, but you wouldn't want him in the Gold Cup. He's a soft stayer at 3 mile. I think over this trip, an intermediate trip, he's won at the Cheltenham Festival before. He's going to be powering home late in the day. He's around a length 2. My absolute bet of the festival. I can't see him outside the top 3. He's my man. I think he'll win.
So, 4th and final day, Gold Cup day, showpiece race of the 4-day festival. It was a pretty decent race this year. Personally, I don't think there's any sort of standout superstar. There's a lot of horses with potential. There's a lot of sort of the old guard, as it were. Perhaps a bit unfair to Native River, he's only 9, but you know, presenting Percy, Clanders Oboe, Native River, joint at the moment, best price 92 the field, all 3 of them, 3 joint favourites. Do you see it outside of those 3, or?
I can see an outsider placing, no problem. The Gold Cup is one of them types of races where big price horses have been known to place before. Yep. You also have horses who want further placing, so...
I mean, Montmole, Lord Windermere winning it.
I mean, we had Synchronise when he was the slowest horse I've ever seen win the Gold Cup, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a bit of an odd one this year. If you can look at the landscape of the Gold Cup from anti-post pre-season to where it is now, it's poles apart. Yeah. You know, you had Might Bite, Native River, Thistlecrack, all vying for sort of like top 3 spots. Sort of, we're talking what, September, October, November last year. Fast forward to now, and there's only one of those that is still in sort of like as a fancied horse, Native River, although it's not won this year. Presenting Percy, very odd campaign. And Clanders Oboe, who came out of nowhere to win the King George. Presenting Percy, we'll stay with him first. Odd campaign, how do you rate that? I mean, he's won at the festival twice, so the trainer knows what he's doing coming up to March.
Yeah, the trainer might know what he's doing, of course he knows what he's doing, but I've given him the last 2 festivals. This has been my stonking bet the last couple of seasons, and I've deserted him. How a horse can win the Cheltenham Gold Cup on the back of a run over hurdles, it's terrible preparation. You look at some of the other horses, Native River, he's had a couple of starts, but he misses intended prep race, and people are saying that is a concern. Presenting Percy has had one run over hurdles. Granted, he won, ears pricked, dossing about in front. The last horse, I can't ever remember a horse having this preparation winning the Gold Cup. People are trying to laugh it off. It's not a laughing matter for me. I'd be concerned if I backed him anti-post. The last time a horse had a similar prep, I think it was something in the 1920s, so going back 90 years. I just couldn't. I hope he throws egg all over him. I hope he wins it. He's a very likeable horse, dual festival winner already. But the preparation is so bad. His price is terrible. His price in the build-up was absolutely shocking. So there's no value attached to him. I can't have him. I think he'll drift on a day. I don't think he'll go off favourite.
Do you think it was his intended prep all along, or is this just like Plan Z because of the weather?
It's Plan Z. I mean, they can use the ground as much as they want. The Bobby Joe chase a few weeks ago had good shielding ground. He didn't run. I mean, he has run and won on good ground. So what this obsession was with soft ground, I have no idea. They're going to get the ground A-OK. It's going to be soft ground. So realistically, you know, if he's being aimed at it, but my fear is that he will need the race. He could be keen, or you know, just a lack of a proper racecourse guy or race going up that hill. I think it's going to test him too much, and I can't have him. I just can't have him.
Clanders Oboe, King George, genuine contender or King George fluke?
Absolutely, genuine contender. I think he's the class horse of the race. Slow horses don't win King George. I can't have slow horses win it. You look at some of the winners of King George. Fantastic horses, Sylvaniaco, Conte, Cowto Star, Desert Orchid. I could go on and on and on. Class horses tend to win the King George. He's improved at a rate of knots. The concern would be that he has twice won going right-handed, and he's been beaten at Cheltenham before. But for me, Clanders Oboe, he comes from the Paul Nicholls yard. He's a typical improver for Paul Nicholls, and if he goes left-handed and on this ground, we know he does go on the ground, but I mean in a top-class race, will he have everything to suit? I would go with him. I think of the fancied horses, he's the one with the less smart scars. And, you know, if he replicates what he did in the King George, he wins for me. I just think he's a class horse.
No. You forget it. I'm not having it. 4 runs at Cheltenham, never won. 9 runs over a left-handed course, never won. I think he is a class horse, and I'll touch upon the horse you mentioned, Sylvaniaco Conti. I think he's Sylvaniaco Conti 2.0. Has enough to win a King George, has enough class to win Grade 1, but over at Cheltenham, Gold Cup trip, forget it. Not having it. I will tell you now, if that finishes in the top 2, I'll give you a pint. I'll give you 5 pints. There, right, you're on. Right, no. Native River, everyone thinks he's a bit of an old-timer. He's only 9 years old. He's a year older than Presenting Percy. Right. He's had a tough campaign in terms of what he's done over the last year. But in terms of, I mean, when he was 6-1, 7-1 previously, in terms of what he's achieved, he's a Gold Cup contender, placed in the King George, Dickie Johnson on board, been there, done it, got the t-shirt. Again, it depends. The big question is how much has this season taken out of him? He's missed his prep run. I think that might be a bit of a blessing in disguise, only having 2 runs. Bear in mind, imagine this horse won a Welsh National before winning the Gold Cup. And that's some serious race down at Sandown. He's going to get his ground now, thankfully. I think earlier in the week when you got 6-1, 13-2 in some places, that was an absolute cracking bet to nothing. It's now backed into 9-2, joint favourite. If you find a bookie that's got a quarter of the odds, that's not out of the top 3. No way is that out of the top 3.
Right. I think people are they try to over-exaggerate his preparation has been poor. Yes, he's been beaten twice, but if you look through his form, especially at Kempton, as a novice, he jumped to the left. He was flat out as a novice, I didn't like it. He was flat out in the King George. I think he did really well to come in the top 3, to be fair. I think the King George was a good race. Granted, it's right-handed, a different track, but the trainer came out after the race and he said he was flat out all the way around. He was really happy with him. Of course, he had a poor preparation last year and still won the Gold Cup, so I wouldn't sleep on his chance. I think he's a great chance. If you put the gun to my head and said Presenting Percy or Native River all day, I think he will get his ground, he will lead. He could run a few of these into the ground, or he could set it up for another one.
True. I think a lot of people, I think there's only one name that's got to be on people's lips when it comes to the Gold Cup, and I think that's got to be Colin Tizard. He's got 3 in the race, and I like all 3 of them. I mean, I don't expect him to come first, second, third. I think there's going to be some sort of Irish intervention there somewhere, and potentially Clanders Oval, but we've got Native River, Thistlecrack, and the one you're keen on, what's it called?
Elegant Escape,
that's it. Those 3, I think Thistlecrack's overlooked as well. That run a decent race last time out. Those 3, I couldn't put you off any of those 3.
So my issue with him would be at Cheltenham. I don't think he's the same horse as opposed to on a flat track. And the one I've gone with each way, my suggestion in this race for a bet, if you want to go with Clanders Oval, he's got everything going for him. Improving horse, providing he proves himself at Cheltenham, great chance. But the one I want to go with is Elegant Escape. It's 20-1. I've debated this horse over and over and over. He's a very similar profile to Native River, who won it last year. He won the Welsh National at Chepstow. I just think he'll be running on really strongly at the end, a little bit like Manella Rocco. He might get a long way behind, but with the pace angles in the race, Native River is not going to dawdle. Bristol Demai won't dawdle, so it could be a good. Bristol Demai is actually a forgotten horse. He loves soft ground. I wouldn't totally discount him, but I see Elegant Escape running on. If he can get 4 places, I think he'll be in 4th, at least 4th. He's 20-1.
So Native River's for me, for you, Gold Cup.
I think Clanders Oval will win it, but I'm going to back Elegant Escape each way.
And away from the Gold Cup on Friday. Anything you like the look of?
There's a couple in the handicap race that I'm looking forward to. I've been waiting for Martin Pipe, so I'm waiting for Eurodel. If he gets in the Coral, fair enough. That was the race I thought he'd get in. Eurodel's one of my bets of the week, each way. Like I say, he ran a really good race the last day. He was given too much to do. If you can back him each way to nothing, I'm all day with Eurodel.
Right, and for me, the first race of the Friday is the Triumph Erdal. So Eric, it's 6-5, alright, it's short enough, yada yada yada. Placed in the group race on the flat, was trained out of Ballydoyle by Joseph's father Aidan, unbeaten over Erdals. Sir Eric, I think in terms of a nap, in terms of a favourite, in terms of alright, it's a short price, but I think if you want a certainty, I think that's the one for me. Kick off Friday with the winner, nap of the festival. Alright, so that's all 4 days of the festival done. So what I want your best novice, your best handicapper, and your best bet of the whole festival.
Best novice, it's got to go in the Arkle, Glenn Forza. My best handicap bet, Eurodel, wherever he turns up, I think he's a great chance. And the nap, Road to Respect, Philly Books.
Personally, there's only one horse. It's novice and nap, same Sir Eric. In the first race on day 4. Handicapper, there's nothing that I'm dead sweet on. I like, Solstice Star and Auvergnat in the cross country, but and Hardline in the first day. Nothing major, but I want to tell you now, as an alternative, I'm not a layer of horses, but there's 2 favourites that I cannot have. First of all, we've got, let's have a look, Envoy Allen, Champion Bumper. No, not for me. I think yeah, I think the field's too good to go with the favourite there. And also Rebecca Curtis, a bit of a forgotten trainer. A few years back was really good, not so much anymore. A lot of people are raving about the chances of Lisnagar Oscar in the Albert Bartlett. Nah, forget it. Unfortunately, not a force as once was.
Very harsh.
Very harsh. Right.